Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we have another power rankings video. This is technically week 25 of our power rankings series, but it's basically going to be our playoff preview power rankings. I break down the power rankings with the 16 teams who have made the NHL playoffs. We're going to look at the top 8 teams. Who do I think could do the most damage in this year's playoffs? We'll touch on all this coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to this video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now once again, if you guys haven't already, leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment down below. Tell all your friends, the best hockey content on YouTube is right here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. So if you can, leave a subscribe, leave a like. 90% of you guys who view my videos are not subscribed yet. So leave a subscribe down below and also leave a comment. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on all that was discussed here today. Also, don't forget to stay tuned over the next couple of weeks as I'm going to have some live streams for some playoff games. Once again, I'll have a schedule once the playoffs are announced. Probably not going to do anything until early next week, but definitely don't forget to check that out as we will be having some playoff live streams here on the channel. And on top of that, don't forget to stay tuned on my channel for more things that are going to be coming out in the very near future. Now in today's video, I was originally going to do just another power rankings video, potentially the last one of the season, to wrap things up, but yesterday the last few playoff teams clinched their playoff spot. We know the 16 team field now for the NHL playoffs. So even though we don't have all the matchups, I'm going to give you my top 8 teams entering the playoffs who I think could do the most damage. There's going to be a couple of honorable mentions. I'm going to have 6 teams, so I'm not going to put in the power rankings all together. And once again, by the time we do the next power rankings, potentially later next week, we could have some things changed up after the playoffs start. So we're going to start here with the 6 teams who do not rank in the power rankings, honorable mention, or in the actual power rankings. That is Boston, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Edmonton, Anaheim, Los Angeles. I think these are 6 teams that are most likely not going to do very much in the postseason. I think Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, great to see that they both made it. One of them has to go on to round 2, but I don't expect either one of these teams to do very much and create a whole bunch of noise in the postseason. So I don't think they're going to do too much. Same thing with Boston, whether it's going to Buffalo or going to Carolina. I don't expect much noise from Boston. So those 3 teams in the Eastern Conference are left off the power rankings, at least to start. On top of that, in the Western Conference, Anaheim's looked a little bit shaky over the past couple of months, so I don't know if they'll do very much. I've already said Edmonton's probably going to be a first round exit. If they get the right situation, they might be able to Mickey Mouse their way to round 2, but I don't think they're going to get past round 2 this year, so I don't expect Edmonton to go far. Same thing with Los Angeles. Once again, it depends on the matchup. If they get like an Edmonton or an Anaheim, I could see them maybe sneak past one of them, but I don't expect too much from Los Angeles either. So those 6 teams, I'm not expecting much. Once again, if they have really good starts to their series next week and they take like 2 or 3-0 leads, maybe by the time we do next week's power rankings, I'll switch my mind. But for time being, just before the start of the playoffs, those 6 teams are teams who I'm going to leave off the power rankings, not expecting too much from those 6 teams. Next, going over to the 2 honorable mentions. So the 2 honorable mentions, teams who I could see wind up doing some damage, but I'm not really expecting it, are the Dallas Stars, who are honorable mention 2, and the Vegas Golden Knights, who are honorable mention 1. The Stars, they've looked pretty good this year. They're second spot in the Central Division. They've had a really good regular season. I think they are the 2nd or 3rd best team in the entire NHL. So they have been a really solid team all season long. Now they got Minnesota in round 1, who is my Stanley Cup favorites right now, and the Dallas Stars just went to 3 straight Western Conference final. I think they're going to have a little bit of wear and tear on their bodies. I know a lot of people are saying it's going to be a Dallas Colorado 2nd round matchup. I personally don't see that. So once again, if they can get past Minnesota, I could see them get to the conference final again this year. Don't think they go to the Cup final, but I think them going on a run probably hinders on them getting past Minnesota, which I think is going to be a tall task for them. So I'm going to put the honorable mention here. Once again, it could change if they have a really good start to their series next week, but at this point in time, I'm thinking Dallas as honorable mention number 2 in my power rankings. Honorable mention number 1 is the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, once again, depends on who they face, depends on who they wind up taking. They have been a really shaky team all season long. They have looked a lot better since Torrella's come in as a new head coach, so it's inspiring a little bit bit of confidence in me. Once again, if they get a team like Utah in round 1, I don't know if they go very far, but I could see them, if they get hot, if they can find their offensive form, if Carter Hart can do well, if they get the right matchups, I could see them going to the conference final and beyond. So once again, I'm not going to say it's a guarantee that Vegas goes very far, and once again, we'll have to see who they match up against. But at least to start with, now that we know the playoff bracket, they're going to start as honorable mention 1 for me in the power rankings. So that's where I have the Vegas Golden Knights. Now going over to the top 8 teams I have in the power rankings. The 8th team of the power rankings, staying there from last week and still being one of the most scariest teams in the Eastern Conference, we have the Ottawa Senators. I feel that this team could still be pretty dangerous. They're going to go to either Carolina or Buffalo. If they get Carolina and they have to go through at Metro side, I could see them reach a conference final. If they have to go through Buffalo, probably going to be ousted in round 1 or 2. So I think they could do some damage in the playoffs. I would not be one bit surprised if they upset whichever first seed they wind up playing. I would not be one bit surprised about that. I do think they do have a tall task being the road team and the wildcard team, which is why I have them starting here as 8th in the power rankings, but that could change if they have a really good start to the series. If they can get some decent goaltending out of Allmark, they have a pretty solid defensive core, stellar forward group, I think they could do some damage, but I'm going to keep them here at the 8th spot in the power rankings to start the power rankings here for the playoffs. So very interesting note there. The 7th team I have in the power rankings entering the playoffs is the Utah Mammoth. I feel like it really does hinder on if they get the first wild card or the second wild card. If they can get first wild card and have to go through the Pacific, I think in my opinion they should be the odds-on favorite to come out of the Pacific Division and into the conference final. I think this team does have what it takes to go on a deep run. Now if they go to Colorado, I think they're probably going to be first rounded, but I definitely do think there's a strong possibility that Utah could wind up coming out of the first round, even if they were to have to upset a team like a Vegas or Colorado. So I think people are underestimating Utah, even though this is their first ever playoff appearance. I do think Utah could produce some damage in the playoffs. So I do like what they could do in the postseason. They have a stellar offense, a pretty dang good defense, and one of the best goaltenders all season long in Karel Vejmelka. So I'm going to say the Utah Mammoth start here at the 7th overall in the power rankings, which is bumping up 3 spots from last week, but still, they could do a little bit of damage in the postseason. The 6th team in my power rankings to begin the postseason is the Colorado Avalanche. As I mentioned before, I fully believe in the President's Trophy curse. I think they're probably going to, whether it's against Utah, LA, Edmonton, or Anaheim, smoke whoever they wind up playing in round 1. I think they'll find the way to be eliminated in round 2, as most President's Trophy teams do wind up doing. So I don't think they're going to go far, but if any team can wind up overcoming the President's Trophy curse, I think it's Colorado. They have a stellar offense, a pretty dang good top to bottom defense, and their goaltending's been pretty dang good this year. So I'm not gonna say it's a guarantee that Colorado goes far, and personally, I would say it's more likely that they get ousted in round 1 or round 2. But I think Colorado's a dangerous team, so I'm gonna put them here at the 6th spot in the power rankings, bumping down 1 spot from where they were last week. So it's still a pretty good team here in the Colorado Avalanche. The 5th team in the power rankings, who I think could also do some pretty good damage, is the Carolina Hurricanes. Now once again, it all depends on the matchups and who I feel like could really go toe to toe with them. But I think if they get Boston, they are guaranteed to go to the conference final. It'd be a little more difficult if they get Ottawa, but they're going to be a tough out. This could be the year for the Carolina Hurricanes. They finally go deep. I would not be one bit shocked if the Carolina Hurricanes made it to conference final and maybe even the cup final. So I definitely do think they got to be one of the top 5 teams here entering the power rankings for the playoffs. But once again, if they run into the right team, I could see them be able to start early on. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But they have a pretty stacked forward group, a really solid, well-rounded defensive core. The goaltending's untested in the playoffs as they do run with Busey. That has me a little bit concerned, but all in all, Carolina's still a really good team, which is why I'm going to put them here at the 5th spot in the power rankings to begin the playoff power rankings. The 4th team in my power rankings to begin the playoff power rankings, the Montreal Canadiens. Now, I think they could go far. They're going to have a really tall task in round 1 against Tampa Bay Lightning, but they are a really solid team. They've shown it this past couple of weeks. They beat Tampa twice, so you know, if Montreal can pull off the upset against Tampa, I can see them go to a cup final. Like, this team is looking legit scary. They have a really stacked offensive core that has Suzuki hitting 100 points and Caulfield hitting 50 goals. They have a pretty dang good defensive core with a really solid Norris caliber defender in Lane Hudson, and in net, they've been looking shaky all season long in net until the last couple of weeks, and Dobesh has turned into a dominant goaltender for the Montreal Canadiens. So once again, I don't know if they're going to go very, very far this year, but they look scary. They're hitting up at the right time. I could see him do some damage. So I'm going to start them here at the 4th spot in the power rankings for the first playoff power rankings. So good stuff there for the Canadians. The 3rd team in the playoff power rankings at this current point in time to start off the playoffs is the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Montreal Canadiens opponent. I do think the Lightning could definitely go very far. I know that they are personally a couple of people's odds-on favorites to go to the Cup final. They aren't mine, but I could see him do some damage. I could see him win round 1 against the Montreal Canadiens. I know they've lost a couple of times over the past week, but they're a battle-tested team. They have a pretty dang good offensive core. Defense looked a little bit shaky at times, but they found some really good gems in like Radish and Moser. And once again, they have one of the best goaltenders in the entire NHL, which can sail them a series, and Andrei Vasilevsky. So they have some really good weapons. Sure, they're aging. Sure, they might be past their prime a little bit, but I could see them do some damage. That's why they're starting this playoff power rankings as the 3rd team. The 2nd team in the playoff power rankings, and potentially my Eastern Conference favorites right now, is the Buffalo Sabres. They win their Atlantic Division for the first time ever. This is their first division win since 2010, and I fully believe this Buffalo Sabres team is going to be a hard out. They're getting Ottawa or Boston in the first round. I think I like Buffalo's chances against either one of those teams. They can get them done in quick fashion. You got Tampa or Montreal after that. I like Buffalo's chances against either one of those teams. Beat whoever they wind up facing in the conference final. You're looking pretty into the Cup final. So I could see Buffalo go really, really far. Not sure exactly my playoff predictions as of yet. But if I had to pick a team at this point in time to come out of the Eastern Conference, it'd probably be Buffalo. They have stacked goal scoring. They can roll 4 lines. They have some really solid spares that could be coming into the lineup at certain points. They have a really stellar defensive core, especially that top 4 with guys like Dahlin and Byram. And in net, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Alex Lyon, whoever they wind up starting, they have 2 really solid goaltenders. So all in all, Buffalo, in my opinion, really solid team, potentially the East favorites in my opinion. I'm going to start them here at the 2nd spot in the playoff power rankings. And the number 1 team in the playoff power rankings is the team who I think could go farthest and who I've been mentioning the entire season as my Stanley Cup favorite. It's the Minnesota Wild. They've not turned me wrong the entire season. Why would I bet against them now? I know they've had some shaky points over the past couple of months, but in my opinion, this team is the team to be in the NHL playoffs. I know they got a tall task against Dallas. If they somehow beat them, they're going to have a tall task against Colorado most likely. So it's not going to be an easy path for Minnesota, but I fully expect this team to wind up going to the Stanley Cup final. I really do like this team. I like the way they're constructed. They have a stellar top 6, some pretty decent depth scoring in their bottom 6. With the addition of Quinn Hughes, that defense is locked and loaded, and if Gustafsson or Wallstead could both heat up at the right time, this Wild team is going to go far, in my opinion. Trust me on this. So at least to start out the power rankings, the team I think can do the most damage in the playoffs, and my Stanley Cup favorite at this current point in time, we got the Minnesota Wild. And once again, this might change if they go down 2-0 or 3-0 to Dallas in round 1. But at least to start here, for our first playoff power rankings, I'm going to put Minnesota the number 1 team. So definitely, those are my power rankings to start the playoffs. Once again, I know the playoffs are still a couple of days away. Both everyone clinching the playoff spot yesterday, and we're having our 16-team field. I just felt it was right to start the playoff power rankings, and once again, we'll probably have another one later on next week, but still, I think this is a really good power rankings, and this definitely is going to change by the time we do it next week. So if you guys thoughts on all of this, did they put anyone too high? Did they put anyone too low? And if you had to do a power rankings of the 16 teams in the playoffs right now, just before the playoffs start, who would you have in your top 8? Let your guys' thoughts on all of it down in the comment section below. Just to recap, here are my top 8 teams entering the playoffs and my playoff power rankings. At the 8th spot, you have Ottawa. 7 is Utah. 6 is Colorado. 5 is Carolina. 4 is Montreal. 3 is Tampa Bay. 2 is Buffalo. And number 1, my Cup favorites, the Minnesota Wild. So definitely, I love your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comment section below, and that's all I want to talk for today. Remember, if you haven't already, leave a subscribe, leave a like, tell all your friends. The best hockey content on YouTube is right here at the End to End Hockey channel. And also don't forget to leave a comment. I would love your guys' opinion on all that was discussed here today. Don't forget to stay tuned. In the next couple of weeks, we'll have a couple of playoff live streams. Keep up to date on the community tabs post, as we will be having a schedule once the playoffs are announced. So don't forget to keep an eye out for the schedule coming out for my live streams. I also do a blog to make news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that, so check that out. I'll link to the description below. I also set up a Buy Me a Coffee page, so if you really like the channel and you want to support it, definitely go over to the website, leave a link to it in the description below, and leave a donation. It really does help with the channel. And I can't wait to see you guys all for the next video. See you guys soon.